part. Sorry, it kind of went down. I didn't know what happened, and it wouldn't let me resume my live. Part two to this here. I'll edit it actually, if I can edit it. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I got air screen and then everything just stopped. So this is part two, of my recording. And as I was saying, um, actually, I don't really want to go with a team. So let's leave team. And we'll go into a new server. Excuse me. So with our relationship at the beginning, as I said, I was like really easily manipulated. Oh my gosh, that is a tongue twister for me. Manipulated. So I fell hard for him. I had a really good job at the time, and I had money in my savings. I was actually planning on buying a house. So the year that I bought him, the year that I met him, the next year I was going to buy a house. So 2019 is when we met. Early, we met. I believe it was the middle of January when we first met. Just as friends, we were just acquaintances on the video game. Um, and I was thinking about buying a house the next following year. So I was going to be doing savings and having a down payment. I had a house in mind, if it had been, if it was still available. It was a fixer-upper, good price, a nice big house with land. My dream was to purchase it. It didn't need a whole lot of repairs. It would be something I'd be able to do, or ask someone that I knew to help me do it, and I could pay them. But so I was going to fix up the house. I was going to turn the open carport into, because of how it was built, I was going to turn the open carport into a dog kennel because intended to continue breeding my labs. I'm going to see if I have any, because someone keeps reporting that the thing's been missing. No, I still got 6 of them. Um, so I was intending to do that. I was going to build my kennel. I was going to continue breeding. I was going to go on my own. And then if my parents decided they could, somebody could move in with me, and if they wanted to help, that would be perfect. But anyway, it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story house. I think it was on like 6 acres or so. So I wanted to buy that house. It was like 80-some thousand. It was perfect for me. Um, it was manageable for what I was making. It would have been perfect. So I meet him, and I just kind of like start seeing my future shift, I start seeing a future with, because we started to get really close, and we started to talk more, and the talks got deeper, and we found that we, um, well, both of us, we both like merged, like we both like bonded over our love of gaming. Like we both oh, there we go. Because that's where we met. It was on video games, so that was like the first thing that we had in common. And then we kind of kept talking, and the more we talked, the more we had in common. And then there was one day that um, he had, I guess it's a friend of his that he had just not met not too long ago. He had him in the party with us, and they started asking questions. And I thought that this was something that was like planned, because the questions got pretty personal, about like what did I look like, how old I was, if I was in a relationship. Um, because at this point I had developed a crush on him, and he had told me that, he was single, and he didn't have anybody in his life. So he was out there asking me questions, and one question was like, okay, why aren't you in a relationship? It was like, well, I haven't found anybody. I come from um, a childhood where I had been made to feel like I was worthless and ugly and not worth the, they say they're not worth the paper you're printed on type of thing. with documents, kind of in that result, I didn't think I was worth the air I was breathing. And I just was made to believe that. And I was like, I don't really, um, like, I don't really have um, any, what do you say, expectations. I didn't think that I was going to be um, meeting anybody, and I thought that I was like, I told him, I straight up, I was like, I honestly have come to the realization that I am going to die alone with my dogs. I'm not going to have a partner. I'm not going to have anybody who's going to love me like I need to be loved. No one's going to love me how I love. And um, it was the same with him. He's like, yeah, he came up with the same conclusion that he didn't think that he would be meeting anybody. Uh, so at that point, we kind of and we kind of described each other. I'm short. I'm 5'5", and jumpsuit. I was like, yeah, I'm 5'5". I'm curvy. At that point, I was curvy. I was thinner than I am now. After chemo, I hadn't been able to. I haven't been able to keep my weight. It fluctuates a lot, and um, it's been harder. There must be a spooky over there, but I probably won't get anything. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we kind of bonded over that, and then I was like describing him who it was, like what I look like, etc. And we continued to talk for a couple more weeks. And at the end of February, we were playing together, and I wasn't feeling very good at this point. Sorry. I wasn't feeling very good at this point. I had, like, my stomach was hurting, and I was feeling sick, so we played together, and where did he go? Oh, there he is. There's two of them. Is the other one gone too? Oh, there he is. Good shot, guy. Oh, I don't need the cannonball, but okay. Um, so that day, I logged off a little early because of that, and I wanted to take a nap. And at this point, I had really, like, I had feelings for him, and I enjoyed, I enjoyed the time that we spent together. Oh my gosh, can I get uh, the head just says so. No, I lost the head. No. His body's like gone, so. And I don't think this guy is gonna be like me. Let's see. I must have gotten it already. Yeah, I think I got it. So anyway, I was like really, um, I was like really head over heels for him. I had feelings, and um, I don't know if he knew or not, or if we got a feeling. I didn't know he had feelings for me until that day. I get a message. So I'm talking to him, and I log off and because we said our goodbyes, and um, he sends me, I get a message, and um, I didn't read the entire message. I had really bad internet, so I got to see the little part. It said, "I hope you feel better, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night." So I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And then the next day I log on, I look at the message, and um, it was like the sweetest thing ever. Um, it was like, "I hope that you," it was like, "I hope that you have a good day. Good night. I hope you feel better. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I love you." And I kind of was like unsure at first because I hadn't been with anybody before. Um, but I was like, I'm gonna take a chance on this, you know. I'm gonna take a chance on this. And I did. I took a chance, and I was like, uh, oh, that's actually a good roll for that gauntlet. 40% weapon speed and 3 strength. I'm not touching that. So I took a shot at it, and I was like, I actually am falling. I fell for you too, and here's my phone number. And that was the end of it. That was the end of it. We started talking more and more, and then a couple days later, he was like, I really do, like, I fell for you, and I want you to, like, I want to be like exclusive. Like, I wanted to ask, would you start, like, would you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, yeah, I would like that. Um, and that was all she wrote at that point. We become inseparable. We talked every day, multiple times a day. Um, we gamed together almost every day. At least a couple of a couple hours a day after I got off work, and then I would get up super early in the morning. We have a 2 hour time difference between us at the time. Um, so I would get up super early in the morning because he got off at work at 6 o'clock in the morning. At that time, he worked third shift. So he got off at 6 a.m., which would be 4 a.m. my time. So I would get up at 3 o'clock, 3:30, and just wait for him. And I kid you not, this man, as soon as he would get off of work, as soon as he was at that door, he was calling me, and he would talk to me until he got home. And then as soon as he got home, he would make him something to eat, and then he'd go and fire up his PlayStation 4, log on, and he would spend at least 10 minutes with me on the game. So I'd get time with him on the phone, and then 10 minutes at least on until he was done eating. So 10, 15 minutes, and then he would go to bed. I would go to work, and then I would get home. I would get home, and he'd be awake. Usually, he'd be awake about the time that I would go to lunch. So I'd go to lunch around 12. He'd be up at 2. Um, and I would talk to him a little bit if I could on lunch. And then if I couldn't, I would just message him. And then when I got home, I would do my normal. What is he doing? I would do my normal routine when I got home, and then I would hop on the PlayStation 4 and I would game with him until he had to go to work. He went to work uh, at 10, so 10 at night his time. So that would be 8 our time, my time, Pacific time at the time. So I lived in Idaho, and uh, we, like, on the weekends, then he didn't work, and the days I didn't work on the weekends because I only worked Monday through Friday. Um, we would try to stay up as late as possible. Sometimes that wouldn't work. My older brother was not very kind to me because I lived at home at that time. I still lived with my parents, so um, we would share the PlayStation that was downstairs, and uh, he was not very kind. he would he would be mean, he'd be hurtful. Um, so anyway, I would stay up as late as possible talking, and then um, once we were done gaming, he would FaceTime with me, and if I was having a hard day, he would FaceTime me and uh, and talk with me. So I knew that he loved me. It was the time at some point, um, like he knew that I had money. He knew I had money. And then at some point he started to, if I wanted to FaceTime with him, he'd be like, no, I can't really FaceTime, but if you buy me this, then I'll talk to you. At that point, I didn't really understand. I was still very new. Um, but that's when like the manipulation started to come in. I didn't see the red flags at the time. I was still blinded by love. Um, and if I did like voice my concerns, um, he would then like change his tone and be like, "Oh, I didn't mean it," and yada yada yada, and uh, so I uh, I continued, and it wasn't too bad when we were long distance. And then in June, who because it was like we were dating for 2 weeks, and he was like, I'm gonna marry you one day." He's like, I love you, and I'm gonna marry you one day. I was like, oh, um, I was just like awestruck, you know. So um, anyway, I gotta go figure out what to do with this. Like I said, I'll go back to the. I'm going the wrong way. This way. There it is. So he asked me in June, Kim June. He did. He popped the question. He asked me to marry him. So we were long distance and never ring or anything. So I said yes at the time. So we were engaged, and then we um, we had already started talking about visitation. Um, I wanted to I wanted to do some things financially, and make sure that I was like financially set for moving. So I was like, I go visit you in July, and then I will move there in October. Um, and I always think October is because I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of things in order and that I had the all my finances and everything. And so, um, but then comes the whole feeling of what I was feeling, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. Um, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go there and come back home. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, well, why don't you just move here? Why don't you just come here in July and stay? Don't go back. So I thought about it for a little bit, and it was like a couple weeks passed, and I was like, okay, I think that would be good. So I put my 2 weeks notice in. This is June again, so the middle of June. And I was like, this is going to be, I think we talked about this before. I think I'm getting mixed up. So it was in May, and then when he asked me in June, that's when we talked, because we had talked about, I was talking about moving there sooner because I was not sure I would be able to go back home because I would miss him too much, and I don't know if I was strong enough. So I think it was when he proposed that I made the decision that I'll go ahead and I think on this one I'll scrap because I want to get that 25 weapon speed. I think I have it, I'm not sure. Mutations, pirate punch. That one I will definitely do. Um, armor do I have? So anyway, um, so in June I put my 2 weeks notice in. I said okay that my last day is gonna be this day. It was there at the very end of June. And so I put my 2 weeks in, and I want to say that all right. So these I'm just gonna scrap because they're well. No, I'll go ahead and do it. Why not? So yeah, I took my 2 weeks notice in. And I had people, telling me, "Oh, are you sure you want to do this? Is he real?" And because the whole catfish thing was really big at the time, and I was like, "Yeah, he's don't be silly." We've been FaceTiming. I know who he is. He knows who I am. We talk to each other constantly. So that wasn't it. And then people were also telling me not to do it. Don't don't go. And like I had this pull that I couldn't explain. Um, that used to be out here. Weird. So at this point, I couldn't explain, telling me that I had to go. I had to go. This is something that I had to do. And I had one person that I worked with that was on board. My parents tried to keep me from going. My brother tried to keep me from going. Um, so, sorry, I've got my phone on. I'm gonna mute that because it's gonna be a little bit before hubby calls. I had one coworker tell me, follow your heart. If this is what's going to make you happy, do it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Um, so I did. I followed my heart, and I ended up leaving work a little sooner. I had already put my 2 weeks notice in. I had already, it's been past that 2 weeks. And I was like, it's getting close to my end date, so I left work a little bit early, um, so I can start getting things prepared. I pulled out my savings and everything. I was kind of getting everything ready. So I had about 20,000 total for savings that I moved over here with. Well, not, I didn't really move over here with 20,000. My parents, uh, well, I was like, I don't mean it in a negative way. So don't get me wrong. I appreciate everything that they've done for me. But I was like a cash cow to them. So I had given them money because they asked for it, and they had a phone bill that was way overdue, so I paid the 900 and then gave them an additional 1,200, and then I gave them another 300 on top of that, and I think I gave them another 300 on top of that. Um, that one's money. It's been so long, I don't really tally it up, but so I did give them money out of it, and I didn't have the full 20,000 when I left, but I had quite a bit still. It was still quite a bit of money that I was there to start my life with, or so I thought. Um, when I arrived here, I was so full of life, and I was optimistic and hopeful and excited for the future. Uh, but as soon as I got here, I would say a couple weeks later, that's when things started to change. I found out that who was not attracted to me at the point, that who, uh, and this is now, as I'm saying this, don't think of him as a bad person. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat because this is who he was at the point, at this time, at that point in time, the beginning of our relationship. Um, it wasn't actually who he was. This was just pain, trauma that he didn't deal with, that was being projected onto me. Sorry. I don't know if I'm catching a cold or not, but I'm starting to get stuffy and um, my voice is already starting to get crackly. So I think it's just because the temperatures keep changing. Um, and it's crazy. Like it changes like constantly. It's like it gets warm, then it gets cold, then it gets warm, then it gets cold. There's only 4 people there. Um, I want to do eviction notice, but I don't think 4 people can do it. That's okay. I'll continue like spooky scorch hunting. So anyway, I'm gonna back up to Waverly's. No, there's already somebody there. Um, so things started to really get really choppy, and really rough. Um, Now, as I'm saying this, at the time I didn't know that this is all going on, but this is like after we kind of had our discussions and talks later, as we begin to the healing process of what had happened. Um, Excuse me, that's when everything started to come out. That was the Phantom. He's no longer there. They took that out with the update that we just had yesterday. I got a couple pictures of him. He was just like stuck in the rocks. So anyway, I was undergoing a lot of abuse, and I'll say it was abuse because I was being mentally, emotionally abused. He would say things to me. Um, if I had, if I said anything about being upset, he'd get really angry. And I'm sorry if it's TMA, but it would be torture, a form of torture, where like he would slap me and he would pull my hair like really hard, to the point where it would hurt, like it would burn and like hurt for a while. I would cry um, and then there's other points where he would um, he would twist my breast, my nipple area, my breast, and he twisted it so hard that I was like just begging and pleading him to stop. Um, there was a point where um, I wasn't on birth control at the time, and we had started to be intimate, and I had a pregnancy scare. Um, and he was really cruel with how he put it. He was like, if you are, and I was like worried because I was like, because how he's treating me, and I was like, what's gonna happen, if I am? And so we talked, and then we went for a walk, and he was like, well, what would you do if I did leave you if you're pregnant? What would you do if I left you with the baby and you're all alone? Like, um, I was taken back. That was like a horrible thing to say to your partner who you say you love, but are treating like complete utter garbage. Um, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm just joking." He tried to cheat on me several times. Um, I don't think of it as cheating, but he definitely was putting effort into. Um, one part was he was like emotionally cheating with another girl, and with my intuition at the time, I didn't understand who I was, or my capabilities. But like I knew things I shouldn't have known, and I confronted him one day about it. Um, and at first I let it slide. I was like, oh, he says nothing. Um, so I'm like, oh, okay, because who said that? Like I found the messages, and he was like, oh, it's like, who is she? And he was like, oh, it's nothing. She's just an old friend, someone I used to work with. And at first I was like, yeah, but why are you like, what's um, what is your your intent behind these messages? Because to me it seems like, you're trying to get her attention, you know what I mean, get her attention. And he was like, oh, no, 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 that's not it at all. And um, I would say a couple months later, I found um, more proof of his intentions, and I called him out on it. And I was like, be honest with me. And he was like, yeah, that was my intentions, but she didn't reciprocate my feelings, so um, it destroyed me, to say the least. And then I found out that when I was in Idaho, um, when we were in a long distance relationship, he was doing the same thing with the same girl. Um, it was uh, it was extremely difficult to wrap my head around that, but he um, he said that he would never do it again, and he begged for, second chance, more than a second chance, but you know what I mean. So he begged for a second chance and said he wouldn't do it again, and that he loved me, and everything. Um, so I did. I forgave him and uh, gave him another chance. And I don't know how many chances I've given him throughout. That is not. That's mean. That was a spooky scorch, and I got nothing. Um, so I given him so many second chances that um, I think my game is glitching. That there's points where I just gave up, you know. Um, and then we started working at a company. He was working there first, and then I started working there first, and then he started working there. I started working at the at one department. He started working in another. And What was it? Yeah, no, he was working there first. I started working there first, but I had to be. I quit the job because the very first time I started working there, I was going through a lot of stuff with my chemo treatments and stuff. So I started working there again. He had been working there. Um, so he had been working there because he went there a little sometime after I had left, and so he started working there, and then I got hired on again. Um, and then another girl started with me, and I could tell because she went to the same department he did, and I was like looking at her body language, looking at how she was speaking to him, and I was telling him, I was like, I don't feel comfortable with her and how she's acting towards you. Please just be careful, because there are girls like that. Because in public, he would treat me like when people are watching, you treat me great. And uh, some she saw that how I was being treated, and she was really young. She was like 18. So I told him, I was like, just be careful. I think she's got something for you, and I'm not really comfortable. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. I end up leaving that job, and I try to trust him, but she's throwing herself at him, and um, it was another heartbreaking realization of, you know, what was going on. Who had told me that who um, He wouldn't talk to her outside of work. He would only go, talk to her with work-related things. And it come to find out that was a lie. He was flirting with her and opening up to her advances. And um, this time he stopped himself. Like he was going in and he like caught himself what he's doing. And um, we had a conversation. And I was like, I know the truth. So I want you to come out and just be clean with me. And he did. He exposed everything. And that's when he told me that he was he was talking to her outside of, work related things. He was flirting with her and he had ideas about being with her. Um, and then he was being honest with me. He said that if he had the opportunity um, to sleep with her, um, where I wouldn't find out, that he would have done it. So that crushed me, and I almost like walked out at that point. But again, something inside me, something was like, no, you cannot give up. And then it was the whole, I had to put it that he stopped himself. He didn't go through with all these thoughts. These were just thoughts that he had. Yes, he was flirting with her. Yes, he was talking to her, but he didn't act on any of his impulses. He didn't act on cheating. He just had these thoughts. And I'm like, thoughts aren't, I can't punish people for the thoughts they have, you know? Um, and that was my mindset. It's like, I can't punish people for the thoughts that they have, you know? I wouldn't want to be punished for thinking things, as long as I'm not acting on it, you know. There's things that come across that, oh, I want to do this, or how would this be, and those thoughts that they don't. It's just in your mind, and it doesn't go anywhere because it's wrong. And excuse me. So we worked through that, and at this point he stopped. The physical abuse had stopped. Um, he I would say after that first year, he had stopped. He no longer laid a hand on me. Um, he was no longer hitting me, pulling my hair. I started to see a change, and I held on hope. The emotional was still going on, um, and the sexual abuse had stopped as well. So I mean, it was definitely getting better, but not better. I don't know how else to put it. So I started to see that change, and but the one thing I didn't work through any of the emotions that I had. So I was still hanging on to the baggage, not only from my childhood, mind you, but from that first year that we were together. I was holding on to the baggage. I was holding on to um, the resentment of how he made me feel, because I was thin. Like I was thin at that point, and he called me fat. Um, like he really helped damage what left of confidence I had, because with him, um, before all this happened, like when I was in Idaho and I was unaware of what he was doing here, um, I was confident because, he was calling me beautiful and he was reassuring me. So my confidence is starting to build. Um, so that little bit of sliver that I had left, he completely destroyed. Um, so just visualize taking a crystal plate or a glass, and that is your heart. You know, after all this, that was powder. There's nothing left. Um, so I was at that point I was thin, and then he would call me fat, and um, there was one point where um, I asked why, and he was like, "I didn't think that you're good enough." Um, I didn't think that, like, and because I was asking, like, why he was wanting to go with this other girl. And he was like, I want somebody that I could be proud of on my arm. So, uh, to say that destroyed me is an understatement. Um, a ghoul. I don't, we're supposed to go down here, so I'm just gonna sit here for a bit. Um, so yeah, I am hoping that I get a Superman. Darn, these are random encounters that you can have. I try to get the vendor bot, but it's hard. To get him to spawn, I'm gonna go down here and see if I can get him. I think the boosts were the spawn, so I'm just gonna go here and see if I can find another place for a Scorch. So anyway, I think this was the thing. So, um, that crushed me, and I started to have poor body image. I started to, uh, at that point, I had no self worth whatsoever. I was completely beaten down. Um, this is where the manipulation really continued. Um, I went through, of course, my cancer treatment, pregnancy. Um, it is 11 o'clock, so I can go trick or treating. Um, so it started to really weigh on me with my cancer. So before my cancer diagnosis and pregnancy, um, I had been going through. I wasn't sleeping really well. I would go to bed um, and I would cry myself to sleep almost every night. The biggest question was like, what did I do to deserve this? Um, what was so wrong with me that he's treating me so poorly? Um, and like, what did I do? You know, what's wrong with me? That was it. Like, I was like, so what's wrong with me? You know, what's wrong with me? He would, um, like, I would try to initiate, he would blow me off and then, like, initiate, like, sexual, intimacy with him, and, he would blow me off, and then I would, later find out that he would, watch, you know, Runs with Corn. Um, he'd go to the bathroom and take care of himself. Um, he never posted me on social media. He posted me maybe twice at the very beginning when he was love bombing. Um, and then after that, no. And the reason was because he was embarrassed. I found that out. Um, so, intimacy, and then I found out the reason that he didn't want to is at that time he said that he was not attracted to me because I was not his type. Um, he didn't think that I was good enough. He didn't think I was pretty enough and I wasn't skinny enough. So he didn't have that physical attraction. This was about the part that he had told me that this is where he told me that I was like an embarrassment. I wasn't good enough, um, and he was not proud to have me as a partner. It was extremely difficult to hear these words come out of somebody that you love so much. I did so much, I gave up so much, only to be like to hand him that heart, that glass, and for him just to drop it and just pummel it into dust. So we start getting through this, we start working on this, and you know he's making all these promises, and I'm listening, I'm eating it up, and um, I'm eating it up out of his hand, and One thing leads to another. I ended up getting pregnant. 2020. I found out August um, that I was pregnant, and he seemed to be okay. Like he seemed to be happy about it. Like he had like he. I don't think this candy bowl works. Oh, there it is. So everything seemed to be going good. We were still having problems, but we were working through it. Not in a sense where like it was at a good form. It was more of just like burying it down, honestly. So we seem to be in a good spot, and then I go in for um, a routine blood work. It was my prenatal visit, my very first one, um, to hear the heartbeat and everything, do lab work. So I made an appointment with an OBGYN, and I go in there on the 17th, and he heard baby's heartbeat. He was at work, so he couldn't hear, but um, uh, I'm there, and I hear the baby's heartbeat, and everything seemed good. They do my blood work, and then a couple days later, I get a phone call while I'm at work from my doctor saying, "We got your lab results back in. We need you to get to the emergency room right now." And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "Your lab work came back very abnormal. And with your labs how they are, we don't trust having you walking, standing, being, because you shouldn't be something might happen to you." So um, I'm scared at this point. I'm like, what's going on? Is something wrong with the baby? What's gonna happen? And I'm freaking out. I worked with my mother-in-law at the time, my late mother-in-law, and I go to her and I'm like, they're telling me to go to the emergency room. They said something's wrong, and I'm scared. So she was like, "That's okay. Get your stuff together." And my doctor said that once we get to the emergency room, they're like, "Pack an overnight bag. You're not going to be going home. You're either going to go to the emergency room in Beaver Dam, or you go to Madison, because you're going to be admitted at Madison." Um, and I'm like, "Well, it's closer here. I've got nobody to take me, so." Um, she takes me to the home. I get an overnight bag put together, and then to the emergency room. She drops me off. She goes back to work because she was the manager supervisor. She couldn't leave, um, and then she had to take over my shift, my responsibilities, my duties. So I get to the emergency room, and they start telling me like everything that's wrong. They're like, your blood work really came back abnormal. Your hemoglobin is super low. Um, it's lower than what we would initiate for a blood transfusion. So we're really concerned something's wrong with you. We're not sure. It might just be your iron levels are low and you need to take supplements. But we want to make sure there's nothing underlying that's really bad. And so they run several tests. I call my hubby. I tell him that something's wrong. I'm in the emergency room. Um, I'm scared. I need you to come here. So he leaves work. He lived, I mean, he worked, I think, like a half hour or so out of town. So he was there like 45 minutes later. Oh, I got in the water. Um, so, I'm in the emergency room, and they had me do a series of tests. So they had me like pee in a cup, and they took more blood work, and they're getting me all situated. At UW, because when I got there, my doctor had already called. They already knew I was coming, so they already had my file. As soon as I got in, I told them who I was. They're like, "Okay, let's go, take you back." I didn't have to wait or anything. They immediately took me in. So we get there. What in the world? Ugh. Um, so we're doing tests, and I'm freaking out. Uh, I've got no one there at that time. to help alleviate the worry, because I needed to know everything was going to be okay, and they're running all these tests, and um, I'm just like internally freaking out because I don't know. Blooded steadfast. Wow, these are interesting. These are the mods that you can. Um, so I I spent hours. Hubby finally shows up and he's asking what's wrong, and I'm like, I don't know. The doctor finally comes in with my lab results, and because they did urinalysis, and like, okay, the enzymes and everything in your urine indicate that your kidneys are not functioning properly. They're not functioning normal, like their normal capacity. I was like, what you mean? They're like, all right, so your kidneys are only functioning at 7%. And I later found out that I should have been on dialysis at that point, kidney failure. Um, and they're like, you don't feel any different? Like, you don't feel. And I'm like, no, I feel fine. And he's like, you haven't felt anything? I'm like, no, I haven't even been sick or anything. And he's like, that's crazy. And we're like, okay, we need to get you, um, I need to get you to Madison because we have to admit you, and so we have to start figuring out what's wrong. And I was like, okay, what do you think it is? And he was thinking that, oh, it's an autoimmune disorder, or, um, we're thinking like something like leukemia. And I just like, I think my heart sank. Let's see here. Um, I'm coming here because sometimes like you get um, the mole miners. And usually the mole miners and stuff follow the same, so there is a possibility of getting a spooky scorch, but not really positive on that, so I'm just gonna be here to look. So anyway, my heart sank, and I am like, I'm freaking out. Because the first thing I'm thinking about is like, what's gonna happen with the baby? Like, how is this gonna work? I was like just 12 weeks pregnant at the time, so I'm like just so concerned, and they're not even concerned about that. They're not concerned about it at all. Anyway, I get the news about that, so I'm waiting for the ambulance to have an ambulance to take me in. So I'm waiting for that. I call my parents and I tell them that I'm in the emergency room, something seriously wrong. They didn't really seem too concerned at that point. Oh, there's a mole miner. Not the kind we want, though. Um, I get to Madison, and the whole journey starts at that point. Um, I don't know what this person is. So, fast forward, I go through my pregnancy loss, and I didn't even get a chance to mourn. This was at the height of COVID. This was 2020, the height of COVID. So I was in the hospital for a total of 4 weeks. I had to fight tooth and nail to get visitors because I was not going to not be able to have visitors. I needed people there that I loved and cared about to lean on because I was just absolutely destroyed. I had just lost my baby, and I was going through this chemo treatment that was making me feel sick. Um, I was just not in a good place, and I was scared because I didn't know what was going on. Um, I felt fine, but they were telling me that all this stuff was wrong, and I'm like, I don't understand. So I needed that support. So fought tooth and nail for that. They allowed 2 visitors, which was my hubby, and then his mom. His mom was like my second mama. So um, I was really thankful for that. That was able to happen. So fast forward, I go through my cancer treatment. I start reacting really well. I get through the tough parts, of chemo, and I start working again. And that's when the whole thing with the other woman at his job started. And um, I think that was really the last thing that happened, but I was still dealing with a lot of trauma. So we were still fighting, and we weren't healed at all. We started entering into a life of like swinging and stuff because I had asked him, and that's what he wanted because I was like, are you just not happy? And he was like, he wanted to do that, and I agreed. I was at this point where um, I had no fight left, and I was terrified that I was, what in the world? I don't know why that light is coming from. It's nuts. Um, so I went ahead and went with it, and we did that for about a year. Oh, there's the turret. We did that for about a year, maybe less than that. Um, and I just started to feel more and more dead inside. So I was a couple times that I wasn't feeling loved. I wasn't feeling wanted unless it was during these degrading acts, and I was just having a really hard time. And um, the past still really upset me to the part where I couldn't I couldn't look at him in any other way. Um, so I would say that we had a really long battle, and it wasn't until I met a really good friend, and this good friend of mine pushed me to the point where I had to deal with my trauma. Um, Forever grateful for this friend because if it wasn't for them, I don't think that I would have been so inclined to find my strength because they didn't give me strength, but they helped me realize that I was so much more stronger than I was, that I didn't have to do these things that I didn't want to do, and I didn't have to be with somebody that was going to not put me first, not care about my well-being. So I started to stand up for myself. I started to be more faithful to God. I found my faith again. And during that whole time, not only was I the one changing, but with me demanding better, my hubby now was starting to be like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this to her. I don't want to hurt her anymore. I don't want to be this person anymore. And he started to deal with his own trauma. And we were able to tackle it together. He's still battling some. He's not as far as the journey as I am. I started first, so but the fact is that he had a decision to make. He could either continue being the same person who he was and to project all of his past traumas onto me, like he had been doing, or he was going to change because he loved me. He was going to be the best version of himself, just like I wanted to be the best version of myself for him. Um, and he made that decision. And people like always question, like, you had this hard life with him. Why are you with him? Why did you stay with him? Why would you put yourself through that? And the only thing I can say is that wasn't who he was. That wasn't who he was. And that scared little girl that was doing everything to please people wasn't who I was. I wasn't being my authentic self. I put a mask on every day, pretending that I was okay. I put a mask on every day, pretending that I was fine with what was being done. that I was willing to put myself at risk to appease other people. I learned that I had power and I didn't I didn't have to let people walk all over me. That it was okay if they didn't want to be with me because of my boundaries. If they couldn't accept my boundaries and accept me, um, saying no, I'm not going to do that. I don't feel comfortable, or and if they were going to be angry at me for that, then that just means that they weren't meant to be in my life. So, if there's nobody who can support me being the best version, that was fine. That I could let them go, and if it was meant to be, they will be there, and they will be like supportive and okay with me setting those boundaries because I am taking care of myself. And if somebody is in your life and they don't want you to take care of yourself, if they don't want you to have your best interests at heart, um, then they don't really care about you. And that was a really hard lesson for me to learn because I that means I had to let a lot of people just go because it was a realization that they weren't there for my best interest. They were there for what they could get out of me. But if it was something that I needed, like, they didn't care. They didn't care if it harmed me as long as they got what they wanted. And that was not healthy. And I had to understand that. And I had to be okay with letting my hubby go because I had to understand that there may be a possibility that he decides that he's not wanting someone who's just monogamous. He doesn't want someone who is faith driven, and he doesn't maybe want a person like that. Table knife into her. So I did. I had to be okay with letting him go. But when in doing that, he, he didn't go. He was like, no, I'm not gonna do this to you. Sorry. Um, oh, my nose. I'm so sorry. Um, I just get emotional at that point because I don't think I've ever had anybody care about me to the point where they actually think about me before themselves. And I'm not talking about parent, I'm talking about someone who actually chooses. So, I just I thank God every day for the strength He gives me to endure everything I did because I understand so much of what I was being taught, and that's that. No matter what you've done in your past, when you actively seek out change to be the better version of yourself, to emulate compassion, empathy, love, unconditional love, and to the point where you're like, I'm not gonna be this person anymore. I'm gonna be better. And you seek forgiveness, like honest, like you seek forgiveness, and you're like, I'm done being that person. You just show how much you love that person to be able to say enough is enough. And it makes me think of how Christ is with us, you know? And the lesson that I got, because I was so caught up with my past. So caught up with my past. I was like, how can I get to heaven? I didn't do anything bad, but I sinned. I I turned away from God because I blamed him for the loss of my baby. I blamed him for the things I went through. Because I was like, how could a God put someone like me in this position? I had done nothing. As a child, I did nothing. Before I met my hubby, I did nothing wrong. I never broke the law. I was always kind to people, and I didn't understand what I did to deserve it. So I turned my back on him. And I just thought that was it. I'm done for. I'm not gonna ever be forgiven again because I did the worst thing possible. And I didn't deny God existed, but I did turn my back on him. I sinned actively. Um I did like sexual immoral things sexually. Like I was like a Jezebel type of spirit, you know. I stopped caring. I used language that I wasn't proud of. I did things I wasn't proud of. And yeah, I got an OnlyFans, and I was just like done. I didn't care anymore. And when I look back at that now, it's just like I look back at my relationship, and I'm like, it was Jesus, it was God telling me, like, if you can forgive a person for doing that much to you, when you had faith in them that they could change, and they showed you that they could change, and you forgave them of every wrongdoing, and is like, and you were through a lot. They did the most unspeakable things they could to you. They tortured you sexually, they tortured you physically, they tortured you mentally and emotionally, and you still forgive that person. It was like I'm saying, then what makes you think I can't forgive you? So, I'm sorry. So, I, uh, I did. The moment that I was in that deep part, like that dark hole, and I reached up he did. He, like, I felt him grab my arm and pull me out of that darkness. So, just to feel that love is just the most amazing thing ever. And now I get to see my hubby and other people around me embracing their faith because of me. It's just the most beautiful thing ever. And it's just like you're like, I'm so thankful I didn't give up. And then you start looking at things differently. And then you start being thankful for everything that you went through. because it got you to where you are right now. No matter how hard it was, my childhood, my relationship at the beginning, all of that. Like when I pray, I am thankful for all of it because I was able to experience all of this hurt and heartbreak. I was able to overcome it because of God. Like, it was the only thing that was there for me. I didn't even realize it. And then when you go and repent, and then you feel that embrace, because trust me, you feel it. And then exercising, when you start exercising everything that's faith-based, your life is not the same. It's not the same whatsoever. I'm gonna blow my nose real quick. I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute. I really didn't intend to get emotional on here, but it's just, I feel like somebody needs to hear this. I don't know when, but I just feel like somebody needs to hear my story. And, especially with how the world is today. Um, I see so many people out there who, like me, are judged based on our past. And when you're actively putting that work in to make your life better, to be that best version of yourself, you finding your faith, you're changing things about you for the best, and you are walking that line to be the better version of yourself. People still judge you for your past. And, you know, we don't have the authority to judge people. We're supposed to love everybody. But with me, right now, personally, I am judged constantly, dismissed constantly. Um, People underestimate me. They um, underestimate me. I don't know if that went through. Um, they write me off as nobody because of they just see a little small glimpse. They don't see the trials and tribulations that I've gone through. They don't see the loss, the battles. They don't see any of that. They just see that the mistakes I made and see who I used to be. Um, and they don't see the things that I've made that have changed. And they keep throwing my past in my face. And they do the same thing to my hubby. Um, and people are like, "Oh, why are you telling him? Why are you telling people about what happened?" It's because people deserve to know, you know. And it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story about someone. I don't remember this being here. It's a beautiful story about somebody overcoming their demons. And who was fighting demons? Like, who was fighting them? Like, I knew that wasn't who he was. Like, I knew that he was an amazing man. I knew who he was. I could see, but he had all these demons, and I think the reason that I was his soulmate, because we have this connection that nobody else um, understands, you know, like who is. I think he has the same feeling towards me. Like right now, it's like a connection that I've never felt before with anybody, and I like to tell people that uh, don't don't discount people because of their past, you know. And if I had done that, I wouldn't have the amazing relationship that I have right now. If I had discounted him, if I didn't, if I wasn't strong enough, if I didn't keep that strength, and I know where it came from now, it came from the good Lord. If I didn't keep that faith, if I didn't keep the faith knowing that this is who he was, and that he, that I needed to help him understand his demons, help fight, and I was there to take it. I was there to take everything he dished. God knew I was strong enough. I didn't know I was strong enough, but God knew. God knew the strength that was inside of me. And if I had discredited any of that, if I had just gave up like most people do, if I didn't fight, then I wouldn't have that amazing relationship I have right now. Because we have an amazing relationship right now. We don't fight. We have little arguments that are normal for couples because we usually end up laughing. They're usually sarcastic ones where we're mostly just playing around. Um, we have those normal ones, but we don't have arguments. We don't have fights like we used to, where it was, um, where I would end up crying or um, I'd end up like walking out of the house and feeling broken. You know, we don't have arguments that um, are bad. We just have the normal little things that are like, you know, I don't want to eat there, I don't want to eat here. That kind of stupid things, you know, that the stupid little things that you end up just like looking at each other and just laughing about. Um, those things that you're human, you know, and I just know that I am at peace now. I'm more at peace than I ever have been. I feel loved. I feel wanted, you know? I feel as if. What? No. Oh. I feel as though, like, when I was a young girl, I was like 18 at the time, and I remember going out of the house, and it was winter and fall, winter. It was like at the cusp of it turning from seasons, and I was outside, and the sun. It was a mild day, and I just had this overwhelming sensation of being alone. And I just remember, because at this time I was still spiritual, and you know I was still talking to God and praying and whatnot, and not as actively as I wish I would have, but I remember just saying, God, I just want someone who's gonna love me, you know? I want someone who's going to love me and not expect things from me. I want someone who's going to understand me and not put me through the things that I've been put through. And I now have that. It took work. And it makes me realize that the things that you want takes work. You have to be prepared. I was not prepared for that relationship. He was not prepared for a relationship. We were not be able to, because he always says, like, I wish I would have met you sooner. And I'm like, babe, if we had met sooner, we would never worked out. We were not where we needed to be. You had to experience the things you experienced, and I had to experience the things I experienced in order for us to have worked. It's all God's divine timing. And at the time I didn't understand that. Now I do. I look back at the things that happened and I do not think of them as bad things anymore. I am honestly I feel blessed that the things had happened, you know? I'm almost there. Um I feel blessed to have had the opportunity to experience the things that I did because it gives you this whole perspective, this whole new perspective at life. And then you start looking at the little things and you're like, I am actually thankful that that happened to me. I'm thankful for the hardship. I'm thankful for the heartbreak because it made me who I am today. It made me understand. It made me be more compassionate. It made me be more empathetic. It made me be a better person. And I think a lot of people fall. They look at the outcome, they look at the bad thing that happened, and they constantly focus on it as a bad. Um, they don't look at it from a different lens. They don't learn from it and go, oh, if this didn't happen, I wouldn't be. I didn't get a shot at that dude. Do I still get it? Yes. Um, so it's just like a big eye opener when you start looking at things differently and you start looking at things like a blessing. He's probably over there killing these guys, so if he's gonna kill spookies, then I'll kill spookies. He probably did kill a couple. I'm gonna go to this church. I don't think I'm in the vicinity to be able to get anything from it, but I'll go look over there anyway. Oh, hi. So hopefully this reaches the person it's supposed to reach. To let you know that if you're going through something right now, it may not seem like it. It may seem like the end of the world. Trust me, I've been there. Where I felt like it was yeah, he killed a spooky. Um, where it's pain and you just want the pain to stop and you feel like there's no point to it. Yes, there is point to it. You know, God works in ways that He uses pain and darkness and hurt for the greater good. And you're like, why? It's how He works. Honestly, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be as strong as I am right now. I wouldn't be able to help people. I wouldn't be able to say it's okay because I've been there. And I can tell you that when you put your faith in God, when you put your faith in Him, He will get you through anything and everything. It may not seem like it. It may seem like I said, it may seem like the end of the world, that the pain will not stop. You might be saying why. We don't know the answers why. We don't know the answers why. And we all have a purpose on this earth. We all do have a purpose on this earth. And a lot of us are destined for better things. I gotta go back this way. We're destined for better things, greater things. We're destined to be leaders. We're destined to be healers. We're destined to help other people. And that's why a lot of us go through things that a lot of people wouldn't have gotten through. A lot of people wouldn't have gotten through what I went through like I did. They wouldn't have gotten through to be as I am right now. They would have turned to hard drugs. They would have turned to, like I said, I was suicidal at points. I never went through with it, but a lot of people would have. When you look at your battle and you understand that when you get through it and you get through it gracefully, and you understand that not a lot of people would be able to do that. Not a lot of people would be able to endure what you've endured. And the fight that you had in you, the strength that you have, then you understand that you have a greater purpose on here. You're not meant to bow down and to take it. You are meant to experience these things to help other people get through it. And you help other people by talking to them, by telling your story. My ear's ringing. You help them by telling your story, by giving them hope that things do get better and you can overcome things, and it's all with God. You know, it's the whole I would be dead right now, but God. I would be broken right now, but God. God protected me. The faith I had in God got me through everything, but God. And I try to I try to share my love for Jesus as much as I can. Um, I don't much with family anymore and friends because I was told I was annoying, and I was not welcome. So I share it with my live streams, and I share it with my hubby, of course, who is on board, who is on his journey as well. And I got another friend that um, I started going to church and reconnecting his faith. And I think even one of my hubby's brothers is starting to get on board too. So um, that makes me happy because hearing my story is making a difference to some people. So um, I guess I better end my stream now. It's been quite a long time. Um, and my hubby's gonna be calling pretty soon. And I just want you to know that hopefully you can resonate with some of the things here. Take what does, leave what doesn't. Thanks for watching me play Fallout and hunt the spooky scorches. I need to open up my ones and see what plans I've got. I probably will log off now and just do my meditation. Um, but I do want to leave you with this. Again, remember, if it seems like it's just you're cloaked in darkness, you can't see any light whatsoever, know it gets better. Have faith. Follow God. You have to take a look at this as what you see isn't what's really there. You may see darkness, you may see lava, but on the opposite side you have Jesus, and he is telling you, just take those steps. Trust me, I'm not going to let you fall. I will catch you. I am not going to let you fall. And just follow. Follow him. Trust him. Heal yourself. Don't people please. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Feed your soul. Make sure that you are always putting yourself and God first. This is going to be beneficial for you. Don't let other people try and make you feel bad for caring about yourself. You can't help other people if you're not taking care of yourself first. If you're in a place where you're being rejected by people, the enemy is tearing you down and telling you that you're nothing, that you're worthless. You are. You are wanted in this world. Oh, yes, you are. You are wanted in this world. You are needed in this world, and you are loved beyond comprehension. I can tell you that. We are all connected by consciousness. We're all connected to God. And all we have to do is open that door. Like, Jesus is knocking. He's knocking. He's there. We can't force you. Like, I'm not here to push my beliefs on anybody, but I'm here to tell you that he's knocking. All you have to do is open that door and let him in. It is that easy. It is open that door and let him in. So, again, if you ever do need to talk to anyone, if I'm around, send me a message, comment on my video, just say, hey, I need someone to talk to you about this. Um, I'm usually available, so just reach out to me, and I'd be happy. We can talk about Bible verses, talk about your favorite Bible verse, We can read the Bible together. I could just be a listening ear. I am here um, just to be there, to be there for people, to be there for my brothers and sisters in Christ. I am here to help you. I'm there to be that little light that guides you to Jesus. I'm that lamp, that lantern to help guide you there. So don't be afraid. I don't bite. I'm actually a really easygoing person. So don't be afraid to reach out to me if you need, or to anybody who's like me and posting these. We are here for you to help you. We're not judgmental. We're not going to put you down. I am not. I don't care about your past. Um, I care about your future. I don't care about your past. I care about your future, your present, your future. So, again, you're wanted, you are loved, you are needed, you matter. I love you, and God loves you. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. If you do think anybody needs to hear the story, I'm sorry about the crying. Hopefully, it doesn't mucking up the audio too bad. But yeah, feel free to share with them. And thanks again for watching. I'll be here on Friday. And I hope that you have a lovely day, a blessed day. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.